Did you know that papal bulls, decrees made by the Pope who sits in the seat of Christ, shaped the America that you see today? It's time to pull back the shades and reveal some truth. If you don't know what a papal bull is, it's an official decree made by the Pope. These documents are used for important matters such as declaring dogma, canonizing saints, establishing dioceses, and making decrees on significant church and secular policy. Historically, papal bulls have had significant influence on world events, often regulating the relationships between secular powers as seen in the Bulls of Donation. You can look that up yourself, which affected colonial claims in the Americas. Now let's take a look at how do they declare dogma. Papal bulls declare dogma through an ex cathedra definition, which is an infallible and binding statement made by the Pope in his official capacity. This declaration is made using specific definitive language such as "we declare, pronounce, and define the doctrine to be revealed by God, and as such to be firmly and immutably held by all the faith." So because the Pope sits in the seat of Christ, and we're going to look at that in a few minutes, just because he says so, it is so. Here are some key elements of declaring dogma via a papal bull. And I want to take a look at the second one, the infallibility. The Pope is speaking with the authority of Christ and the apostles, and the dogma is considered to be divinely revealed. Here are two examples of papal bulls that the church uses when it comes to matters of faith and morals. And this goes out to the entire church. The first one declared the dogma of the Assumption of Mary. The second papal bull declared the dogma of the Immaculate Conception. Now let's take a look at some of the papal bulls that we're going to be discussing in part 2. Dom Diverses. This papal bull was the first formal decree that equated non-Christian, non-European bodies with property. It became the legal seed of transatlantic slavery. This papal bull basically said that if you were non-Christian or non-European, you could be reduced to perpetual servitude, not a person. Number 2, Romanus Pontifex. This papal bull declared that those who are not Christians have no legal or human rights that Europeans must recognize. It set the stage for what we now call colonial capitalism. This granted Portugal a monopoly over newly discovered lands south of Cape Bojador in Africa and reaffirmed the right to enslave infidels. Because of this papal bull, not only could Africans be enslaved, but their lands and resources could be claimed for the faith. The third one that we're going to be discussing in part 2 is Interia Cetera. This is the bull that sanctified the theft of the Americas. It directly enabled Spain's invasion of the Caribbean and the enslavement of indigenous people. Number 4 is basically a follow-up of number 3, and it further granted Spain authority over islands and mainlands discovered and to be discovered. They didn't want to miss anything. They wanted what they had and what they didn't have. These documents literally authorized possession in perpetuity, a spiritual foreclosure on non-European sovereignty. Okay, they embedded the idea that Christian monarchs and their heirs were trustees of God on earth, a concept mirrored today in trust law, property titles, and mortgage structures, modern bondage by contract. I want to talk about something that most people do not connect to the papal bulls: mental and psychological bondage. These bulls didn't just enslave bodies, they programmed minds. They told the world that God endorsed hierarchy and whiteness as divine order. Indigenous African and non-Christian peoples were spiritually lesser, and it also told the world that submission to European systems was salvation. The spiritual lie became the psychological operating system of colonization. The same programming that justifies systematic racism, poverty, and global debt today.